Okay,
All right.
meeting called to order at 6 o'clock for Monday, June 10th, the Board of Health. I'm gonna go out of order and we're gonna do the acceptance of the minutes at the beginning of the meetings now on, just for my own. That's how I do other meetings, so. Could I get a motion to accept the minutes from last month?
I'll make that motion.
Agreed. A motion, yes.
Okay, all those in favor? Mills, yes?
Ian, yes.
Bueller, yes.
All right. Well, right down to it, we can start with variances. We have one, I read about 7 Lois Lane for design flow for facility is submitted to the DEP for review in accordance with 310 CMR.
Yep, so typical to this situation, DEP asks for your opinion, any objections or concerns you may have prior to them actually acting on it. It's their action. This is a situation where there's a facility being proposed that doesn't really fit easily into Title V. So what the proponent has done is provided water meter readings for a couple of other facilities just like it. I don't see any reason, there's a cushion factor, they make them use 200%. The board has done this once before for this building, when it was presented to DEP that based on the square footage, if this were modern office space, we'd have a lot more people in it, we don't. And the board did act favorably on that request as well. So this is only the second time it's ever been asked.
And this is the one where they're saying that the total flow will be 1,200 gallons per day they have the capacity for?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Frank Bonovitz, Borderland Engineering.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Nice to
how
meet
you
you.
doing? So, first thing I just wanted to mention, I don't think it's a variance. I did look under the Title V section, and I just highlighted that where it says that it can be approved without a variance, so I have copies of that if you want it. And then we do have the DEP letter that approved the flow. So it's just subject to the Board of Health approval at this point. So extra
you.
copies of that.
Yeah.
That went to you too, right?
They kept sending emails with no attachment.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I didn't get that, we didn't get this one.
Oh, I saw it went to the town and I
Great.
thought it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a conversation last week with DEP that they were supposed to render an opinion before they issued this, so
Yeah.
either way.
Were there 2 locker rooms for showers?
Yeah, so I brought the floor plans too, if you want to look at that. There's minimal, other than the actual courts. There's a locker room, small kitchen, bar with 10 seats, entryway, office, storage, and exercise area. And of course,
So this is the old Edwards movers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I had to.
Are there any plans that they're gonna expand on this business or in the building or?
no, there's
is there?
no other place to expand anything there. There's the existing foundation that they're
Sorry.
just reutilizing, sorry. So that they're not actually building a new foundation, it's just the Edwards Movers building had a fire apparently.
Big one.
A while back.
Well, if you don't need a variance, what are we?
Accepting it.
Before the
Just
DEP could do
accepting
anything.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I like this one too, this one they provided, it shows the other facilities that
Yeah,
are
I
like
brought
it
those
in the
too,
area
yeah.
that have equal amount of courts and space and how much they're using, so that's great, I'm glad you provided this too. Thank you.
I'll upload that to the portal too if you guys want to get it.
You have that, right?
Yep.
That's the same.
So,
have any questions. Do you have any recommendations? Have you looked at this?
I don't anticipate that it would be a problem. Again, it's a new use, we don't know how to size it, this is our best guesstimate. They're putting in a brand new system, they'll be monitoring it.
Doesn't seem like it's gonna be a huge load anyways.
There's no room for expansion. If they were to start using more water than what is proposed, it is a single-use building, a single-use septic system. If it fails, they would have to replace it.
Right.
And at that point, we'd look at the local water meter readings, so I don't see
I'll-
any reason not to let them get started.
I don't have any issue with it either.
I wanna make a motion to accept.
Motion to accept?
Second, all those in favor, Mills, yes?
Being yes?
Bueller, yes.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, good luck.
Thanks.
The next, we're revisiting
Good speed?
24 Goodspeed, Lot 6. Variance, that was the one, if you guys remember
I
the
do.
septic with the inches of cover.
Yes, I read about the new plan.
Didn't wanna put the concrete in the garage and change that, huh?
That's the last resort.
How come, financial or just,
Just because, yeah, I would say financial, sure.
Can you just state your name for the record?
Sure, Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. Yeah,
Scott, while you're explaining, can I just have the green
course.
cards, please, to just,
so yeah, I would say,
thank you.
financial, I mean, it affects the garage doors, you'd have to rework the garage doors. You know, the steps leading up into the house wouldn't be that big of a deal, but mainly the cost of doing that. You'd have to redo the concrete, or at least overlay it, the garage doors, redo the driveway, you know, whatever grading would be associated with that. And, you know, from an engineering point of view, when we looked at it and talked about the 2-inch insulation board, the 2-inch insulation board gives us more of an R value than just your typical tank with 9 inches of cover. So at that point, we thought that the, you know, proceeding with the variance request from you folks, you know, the amount of protection that would typically be afforded the septic system under a conventional type of installation, we're still a little bit above that with the 2-inch insulation board. So
no,
we felt like it was
is there,
reasonable.
it doesn't sound unreasonable. I do have a couple of questions. Has that board, like, we say insulation, I'm a general contractor.
Sure.
So 2-inch rigid foam can mean a million different products. Do any of them react with HS?
So as we looked into it, you know,
Like,
obviously, we've never done it before, so.
sure, if this is
so
atypical, which is,
Just going online, the EPS board, it's, you know, it's compatible with sulfuric acid, which may be generated by the hydrogen sulfide gases. So,
None of that's reflective in what I read
okay,
for the document that you submitted. The product you are proposing has its applications being stud walls, cavity walls, masonry walls, exterior stucco, basically not in a septic tank. It also states that this product is bonded to reinforced aluminum, is bonded to a surface. The data on the bonding agent says it can't have a sheet cover on it. It also says it's not to be applied to damp surfaces. So I don't,
what brand do they use? I'm just curious.
so that's what, and I apologize that the board only got this afternoon, because I only got it after we were closed on Friday.
I guess my concern is that this, over time, we don't know, is this gonna degrade? Is this gonna end up disappearing? Is this, the R value gonna disappear with that?
And
over
I
time?
wouldn't,
And the elements, because I think to your point, because that's what I was thinking about when we first read this, is that, you know, we're all familiar with what you're speaking of, but that's the,
and I go back to kind of one of the core tenets of this whole thing, that if it was just an individual homeowner gambling on
correct.
this working.
And that was our concern before. It involves two other properties.
understood. Is part of the, it's a shared system, as you folks have mentioned. I mean, we would certainly be we have to maintain our own septic tank, not just the shared system. I mean, we would certainly be, okay with submitting reports, a yearly report on the,
I will say, I would insist, I've used this product, and it's terrible.
okay,
It is. I would absolutely, especially when you're joining dissimilar materials.
Yep.
Within a moist environment, which it's definitely a moist
Yep.
environment. I'm not an engineer.
Yep.
But this is kind of my arena. I've used it before, like something with urethane, a urethane construction adhesive.
all right. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not our arena necessarily.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean, we're kind
So,
of
and I think
winging it
the
almost
feeling
to an
of
extent.
the feeling of the board is, if this was one person's
Mm-hmm.
house, it's like, okay, what do you want to do? Like talk to the homeowner. Like
Yep.
this is a combined system, and I'm sorry.
Yep, that's right.
So that
I think I mentioned my one experience with not having enough cover, I don't know if I told this to you guys back in the last meeting, is my one experience with the tank that did not have enough cover was that the microorganisms died at an accelerated rate and the Zabel filter clogged almost weekly.
Mhm.
We know what happens when Zabel filters clog frequently. Homeowners throw them because it's in their driveway and under their control. And then now we're back to that problem again of no amount of inspecting is going to stop that from going out into the shared system and clogging and causing premature failure of the actual field that is owned by all three.
So essentially, we're talking about taking the foam board, cutting it the same shape as the lid, and gluing, screwing it to the bottom of the lid.
Of the whole tank.
The entire tank,
The entire
Just to get in there.
you would end up cutting around the lid and,
Okay.
and adhering a circle around the lid.
So you're gonna insulate the whole inside of the tank.
The top of it, correct.
It's an H20 tank, which is 6 inches.
How do they do that with the? Okay, they have to go in from both sides because I'm assuming it's a baffled tank.
Right.
It looked like.
Yep, yep.
And
So
then
how are you even gonna get the pieces?
yeah, they're gonna have to be cut in a little strips.
They're gonna have to be cut into essentially 12-inch strips.
The other issue I'm just gonna mention right now is also that we, after the last variance request, we reached out with some feedback on your notification, and your notification does not meet Title V. So I would not advise that the abutters have been properly
How
notified.
does it not meet Title V at this point? If I
So
may ask?
you have to have the exact wording. You can't just make reference, you have to state the section that you're requesting the variance from, and you don't.
Yeah, I suppose you're 100% right. We don't specify the section. We certainly specify what we're asking for: permission to allow use of a 1,500-gallon septic tank with less than required 9 inches. Septic tank flows into shared system used by 16, 20, and 24. I didn't say Title V, chapter and verse, but I mean, it says exactly what we're asking.
Right, but Title V reads, the notification shall reference the specific provision from which the variance is being sought. Now, and we called you and advised of that, or no, actually, we emailed
Yep.
and advised of that.
Yeah, the document should have language that clearly states this request impacts the leaching facility. That's what it says. I'm not gonna argue about that, but yeah, you did say to clearly state that it serves a leaching facility servicing 2 other homes, so that's what we did. Yeah,
Yep, the code says you have to have
Okay.
the actual section, and then it also says that you have to make, so what a lot of other engineering groups will do is this letter that you sent to us has all of that the two together, because you do have to have this statement as well, that saying that you're doing the other pieces. So I'm a little nervous about those pieces on top of the fact that, again, I'm,
Because our letter does reference 15.4.11. Not the abutter notification, but our request to you guys,
Yes.
it does.
yep,
I mean, I get that, I don't think if I put in requesting a waiver from 15.4.11 that people would show up or not show up.
agreed.
I can certainly re-notify abutters and come back next month if that's, the
There were,
the main issue.
there were concerned neighbors here.
Yep.
Last month.
So that's what I mean, so I think our notice is certainly more clear this time than it was last time.
Back to the tank itself. Have you ever done this before?
No,
Solar,
Where,
Where?
and Drew, yeah,
where?
specifically, I don't know, but he has
Yeah,
done
I
it,
mean-
it's his idea.
I-
So it's an H20 tank, which is 6 inches thick of cement.
Oh,
as
I'm
opposed
aware,
to-
yeah.
No, get that.
You know what it is? I don't,
What if 20 were to sign off on it? There is no 16.
I don't see how somebody could feasibly do that and do it effectively.
Well, he's.
You figure it's a 24-inch cover,
yeah,
they're gonna have to pump the tank
Yeah,
down,
that warning.
or yeah, steam it or whatever.
Or do a closed entry, have
Yeah.
to,
And
The problem is,
I
if it
just-
degrades, if it's not,
I
we
don't-
don't know if it's gonna remain intact, and we
Exactly.
don't even have the history.
I don't know if this
For the
affects anything,
experience.
But the inlet to the leaching field is across, it's less than 15 feet.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that,
Yeah.
I remember all
it is actually
that.
much longer than 15
It's not-
feet.
I
I'm
can
trying
show
to
you.
find a.
I can,
Tank,
No
there,
way,
I can
it-
show you that it.
It is significantly
No, he said the
more.
100, that goes down to 4, 2, 4, the low income.
I can't
and
agree to that.
the
yeah, I remember him saying,
Ours is right there, I can show you a picture if you wanted.
Your field is much further.
on the other
away.
side of the driveway.
On the other side of the shared driveway,
we were
right there.
15 feet at the
where
last
pump
meeting,
is.
but. So the same problem exists for me. If this was a standalone, your family owned, and you were being impacted by it, that sort of thing, I guess I would look at it differently.
But it's
Whereas a
25.
shared system with two others. And I get I get the impact that it's having on you, I do. Please, these two people will tell you I understand it, more than you know. But, to possibly have that impact on those other two houses, two families,
What if they were
I couldn't do it in good conscience.
Signed off on it.
I'm sorry?
What if they signed off on it? There is no 16, it's a hill and a.
I don't know that would
Something
change
town
anything
council would have
legally.
to-
Yeah, legally, I don't know if that would change anything.
I know
We
we
just
have money in
received
that.
plans for 16, so we received
There will be,
plans.
yeah.
There's money in
It's stupid.
escrow.
How about the foam on the outside of the tank?
That's
You
the
can't,
same.
what are you gonna put foam and then pour,
Pave over,
pave over it? It's
No,
not.
that's-
I'm not saying
Add
that,
paving,
It's still covered, yeah.
just add 2 inches of paving and
But
the problem with adding the 2 inches of pavement, that would be the easiest thing. The problem is, it then sheds to the
That- that
garage
you-
because it's
you're
so close to
pitching
the
back towards the garage, yeah.
As it is now, it's
Right.
almost dead flat to the
I
garage.
gotcha.
So any addition, even if we said add an inch,
It was gonna be a,
yeah,
so the idea
even forget the hump,
was
there
to
wouldn't, it
add,
wouldn't be a crazy hump, it wouldn't be,
right, the discussion was to add 6 inches of concrete to the garage floor.
yep.
And then
It'd have to be
add what
that
was
much
needed.
And then you'd have to add, right, exactly, then you could add the, 4 inches over the tank and you'd have it, and
I mean, if a channel were to be put before.
How big's the garage?
24.
24,
Yeah,
so it's
roughly.
not that much.
Yeah, it's actually 23 by 23.
I'm,
Or is that one? Yeah, so it's just call it that, it's a two-car
Okay.
garage.
my comfort level gets less and less when it's multiple people using a tank, and I can appreciate having people sign off on it, but you can ask my wife, I've signed off on a lot of things just because that I'm not aware of, you know what I mean? Oh, you remember, and then 10 years from now, when someone gets a $40,000 repair bill for a septic,
There is money in escrow.
no, I understand that, I just,
yeah, but
that's just me, I mean, this is a whole board decision, but I just don't see how someone can do an effective job putting the foam inside, up underneath the tank,
I
number
think the bigger
one,
problem is we don't know.
in the long
And then we don't
term.
know what the duration of that effective job's gonna be. We don't know if this is a 1-year fix, if it's gonna last for 20 years, we don't know. And I've heard you explain to me a system could fail in a month, right? A Title V pass system can fail, but there's just too many unknowns, and like I said, it's a shared system on this one.
I mean,
What is the answer? I mean, I dropped the septic plans off on the September 1st, and there was a revision with the H20 diagram. That was later that day, and the tank there was no other choice where it could have gone.
Yeah.
Even though there was one, maybe 16 that had the tank on the other side, but it was always there.
Yeah, the
And
tank,
it has to be 10 feet from the house, 10
the
feet
tank's in
from
the right
property
place,
line.
just,
yeah,
But it-
Well, it's the whole foundation that's low.
yeah, it's the foundation that's low, not the tank. The tank's essentially on the money.
And the way it's designed, the way it's set up right now, not designed, please let me correct that, but the way it's set up now, unfortunately, it's set up to fail.
But if it were to be the 15 feet and not the much further distance, if that were to be proven.
I recall you
then-
saying something about the 15 feet, but
It doesn't
clearly
have
Kristen
anything-
says it's not 15
The,
feet.
the
so.
issue is not how far it goes from point A to point B. The issue is that without the proper amount of cover, the biosphere that happens in that
No, I
tank,
get it, like red X, I get it.
not like it's a living, it needs to function, and if it's experiencing temperature swings up and down,
Sure.
it isn't going to function properly.
But assuming the installer's done it before, he's not, I'm sure he's not
I-
happy to go into a tank, and that was wrong.
if he has, he's gotta have documentation,
see-
I'd like to
yeah, I'd
see
like
the
to see
plans
that.
and the age of the septics and how they're functioning, I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, if
I mean,
it's
is that-
been done, I approached DEP has never heard of it being done, never heard of it.
Yeah, I would agree. If it has been done, then more than likely,
it's gotta be documented.
it's gotta be documented with that Board of Health, I would think. I don't
Right.
think you would just do it for the heck of it as an experiment.
As-built stuff,
So,
or-
Do you know where it was?
No, no idea.
I
No.
can find out when I leave here, or I can. by the
You can at least do
morning.
a little bit of legwork.
Could make a
that way.
motion to table it to next month,
Yeah.
and if we bring back that stuff, we can,
And I'll redo the notification.
Please no, we want to help.
No, I
We
understand,
do.
I understand,
It-
yeah.
This is painful.
Yeah.
I know for me, I can only speak for myself, it's painful.
Yep.
The other
But we have a
factor,
responsibility to those other.
Can I get a betterment loan for that? If it's a phase system,
I don't believe
If-
so.
if you had a failed septic system,
no.
then you could get a betterment loan. No, it's not a functioning system, there should be nothing going to it right now. Until we sign off on it, it can't be used. I was going to say that if you wanna get with Al and find out if there is some document trail, if the board is willing, you don't have to wait a month to meet. They do have a 10-day notification that they have to meet. But if in the next couple of days, there's information presented that I judge or
No, I
we
understand.
agrees, there's something there to show you.
To get a little bit more
potentially-
confidence.
We could potentially do something in 2 or 3 weeks.
Speaking for myself, and I can only speak for myself, and I get the I don't know how much will change, if anything, but I would be willing to come back and meet with you.
Okay.
I absolutely would.
Alright.
I would also, I was hopeful when I read what was proposed to us in the email, but then getting the specs on the equipment and,
Yep.
and material being used, and as Chris said, it's not made for a wet environment, it's a wet environment, so it kind of changed. Unfortunately, I came in with an open, kind of excited mind that this was a good
Yep.
fix for the homeowners and for everyone, but then when you read about the actual things that are being used, and now that we have this data, it doesn't quite
that, and
mix
Nothing's
together.
made to go, you know,
Yeah.
so we can't find
And then
anything
the
that
idea
says,
that's
it
gonna
works
go
great with the
in-
septic tank, you know,
yeah.
nothing says that, you know?
And that the fact that it's gonna go in tiny strips in the top, then you're having less
What if-
solid area, more more
Seams and-
seams,
I get
it just makes
Yep.
it more complicated than it was maybe presented with the data that we had coming into the meeting.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
What if there was some type of cement or something more solid? I know it's not cover above, but it's 6 inches thick now, as opposed to 4 at each 20. If there was maybe another 2 inches of pavers or something, I don't know what is possible, but
That would-
that would give it
It's a matter of the R value, it's a matter of
The insulation.
the insulation properties.
But you're still dealing with the same thing, an adhesive that's going to work in that environment, pieces that can go into
And
that.
bear in mind, asphalt
how long?
over your septic
And
tank
how
is,
that's hot.
I'm not a fan just because of the heat. it
Asphalt
gets.
has
I
a
mean,
lower R
Yeah,
value,
I mean,
yeah.
I have a sprinkler system and a ton of dirt over my septic tank, and I still have 2 perfect squares in the summer, you know? I mean, I can only imagine you just boiling stew
Yeah.
with the, you know, and I appreciate where you're coming from. But you also don't wanna be a year from now going, with 2 other homeowners going, this did not work, and that's just, you know, so if we delay things for a couple of weeks till we see his documentation, I still can't say where I'm comfortable with it, but I'm open-minded and willing to take a look
If
at it.
we can show you something, at least
Yeah.
Been done.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at that, absolutely.
Or that the materials that are being used are appropriate for the environment
Yeah, we'll
it's
see what
being
they
used
use
in.
there, yeah.
Like in our email, the proposal said steel anchors, and then in this one, it says plastic, so it's just a change, so like we definitely do the legwork behind the scenes too. Like we don't take this lightly either, you know, I read everything that was given to me, researched it, and then you come to a meeting and you have all new information and new things, and it just makes it hard, cause as proposed, sounded great, and then like, okay, well, now we're using an adhesive that's not tested in that environment, now it's plastic, like, it's just, it makes it different.
I just have one last question, like, if the driveway's where it is, where it should be, and that pitch is where it should have been, even if the foundation was shorter and the driveway was not as high as it, say, should have been, like, and that was the revision that I dropped off to the Board of Health with the diagram, the H20, like, does
No, I think
Board
that
of Health
the
bear
revision that was dropped off did not have the as-built foundation number. It had the original foundation number. We're looking at gravity and cover and setbacks. So the plan, the revised plan, moving it into the driveway, showing it as an H20, had a top of foundation and an invert coming out that was here. It ended up being here, because everything went down. So what we reviewed
The driveway?
met.
It was unclear, I thought that it was just the garage that was lower, not the driveway.
The garage and the driveway all dropped 6 inches. The tank is right where it's supposed to be,
From the plan.
but it was supposed to be 6 inches higher over the tank, based on the plan. So the top,
Pitch towards the house then.
No,
The
because
house
the
should have
plan
been
is
6 inches
still,
yeah.
higher too.
yeah,
it's
the
not to the
garage,
plan.
the garage is 6 inches lower than it should have been.
And
It should have been
nobody
poured.
caught that in any inspection,
You know, until,
building, foundation, like, that was never caught.
nope,
Oh, when they come out to look at something. Is there anything within the building code that can be massaged to help this variance wise, like? Just to get them some more cover or grade, I don't know, I'm thinking way outside the box, it's already paved over, so it's.
Right. So I'll make a motion, to either table this, hold it in abeyance, however you wanna term that, for, what do you think you need, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
we need 10,
Just table it
10
till
days
they come
notice.
up.
10 days
10
notice,
days
so if you were to
notice,
send
we-
that, do you plan on sending that tomorrow, or?
We'll certainly do our research, get it back to you, yeah, 10
Yeah,
days,
if
I
you just
think
get
we
back to
could make it.
Kristen, the only thing I ask is that we have an opportunity to digest whatever it is you're gonna send us,
Understood.
instead of trying to,
Right,
go through
like on
it
the fly,
tonight.
yeah. It's an-
Understood.
And only to avoid more complications
Questions,
or
and
another
I
event,
understand.
Because we've already visited this.
Yep.
one. We're-
We don't wanna
we're
waste
willing to work
homeowners'
with
time
it.
either,
Yep,
you
nope, I
guys
understand.
coming here, we
But I
appreciate
think,
it.
I know my position's clear, and I think the board is as well, that way. We have a lot of concerns for the other 2 homeowners, and rightfully so, so.
So we can be in touch over the next couple of days. We'd be looking at, and again, it doesn't have to be a Monday,
No,
but 2 weeks from
Whatever.
today would be the 24th. That we've got that week, and then into the first week of July, with the board's next regular meeting being July 8th.
we can meet before then. We can absolutely get in before then somehow.
Especially if this is, you know, it's a special meeting for
Yep.
one topic.
Sure, we
So-
can be in and out, yep,
I'm willing to be flexible.
all right, thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
so
Thank you.
we'll chat, you guys will pull more
Yep,
information,
okay.
hopefully that, you know, documents that.
And
it has
especially
been
if you're
done.
flexible on, you know, Wednesday, it might have to be Wednesday, so we get the 10-day,
Fine, yeah.
the 10-day notice or something.
Whatever it takes.
Will we be able, for some, I will make time for this, but if for some reason I couldn't, would I be able to zoom in? Would that be okay? Do I have to be here live in person?
No, we actually.
We set up for hybrid, right?
I think we have the technology.
All right, I'm planning to be here, but I just, you know, it's.
Where did you get that from?
Okay, I just wanna make sure if, you know, we have the homeowners who are going to great lengths, who wanna move into the house, and I don't want anything to delay you guys in any way.
All right, thank you.
But I intend to be present.
Yes, and this new box apparently, I think, will make it easier for us to do
Okay.
a hybrid
Yeah.
meeting if needed.
I know when I first joined, we talked about, we were just getting back from
Yeah.
Yep.
in person, we're just getting back to in-person meetings, but we
I
were
don't
set
ever
up for hybrid.
intend it, but just wanna make sure that it's up on the table in case it was.
They're messy, but there's still towns that are doing it. Nobody knows when they're supposed to talk, be quiet, talk.
Gotcha.
They're not fun.
It's ineffective.
Yeah, exactly.
And the abutters, I think there was at least one person showed up last time,
Last
so
time,
make sure we get those.
Yeah, we'll definitely re-notify once we decide on the date.
So we have a motion to table until more information is forthcoming. Can I get a second?
Second,
All those in favor, Mills, yes?
Me and yes.
Bueller, yes.
Okay.
Thank
thanks for
you.
your time,
Thank you
folks.
very much.
Thanks for trying to help,
Thank you.
appreciate it, thank you, I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm out of the office over in Foxborough till probably at least noon time.
Okay.
Hang in there.
I'll be
It's gonna take us that
available
long
after
anyway.
We're trying, my friend, we're
Yep.
No,
trying.
just to be fair, you're not gonna find me first thing in the morning.
Understood, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Good night, folks.
Next, betterment for 68 Beaver Dam.
Betterment from 68 Beaver Dam, they're in good standing with the town. Sitting in for Tim Myers today, because he's not with us today. And they're asking for the proposed $45,000, looking for a motion to accept the betterment for 68
And they're in
Beaver
good
Dam.
standing with everything.
Yeah, good standing with the town.
standing with everything. I'll make, make a motion.
I would like to make a motion to accept the betterment of 68 Beaver Dam Road.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, Mills, yes?
me and yes.
Bueller, yes.
That didn't hurt.
No, it didn't, I was like, do I use the right verbiage?
Staff notes. Mark?
He talks about mosquitoes.
No, we have nothing new on the.
No, we have.
I will give you an update that last
Mosquitoes, ugly
Tuesday.
cousin.
I did go and teach the fourth grade class about ticks and mosquitoes.
Awesome.
You know, and they were great. You know, every year I have one group that's a little spicy, for lack of better terms, but even that group wasn't that bad. So I'll continue doing it. They like it, I like it, it's fun, it's one day, and I will tell you, I give credit to school teachers, it's exhausting. So, but yeah, it was great, we gave them all tick cards, I explained the difference between a deer tick and a dog tick, and what to look for, and, you know, then we used the, I asked them if they know what a sesame seed bagel is, and then if they know what a poppy seed bagel is, and I'm like, poppy seed's the size of a teenage tick, that's how small they can be, and they're like, oh wow, they get all into it, and then we do, each session's about an hour, and what I do is about 40 minutes of talking to them, showing them videos, and we do about 15 minutes where I walk around with like 50 kids in a room and let them ask questions. Yeah.
Awesome.
And they all have great questions, so it's good.
Do we have any updates from the state or Bristol County? And I know we're anticipating a heck of a year.
There's a spray happening tonight in Easton with the Bristol mosquito.
Bristol County?
Yeah.
Tonight or first thing in the
It's
morning?
It's like early, or was it early this morning?
Yeah.
Okay,
This will be routine spraying,
Yep.
their target was last week, so I'm sure they're out there
Yeah.
doing their spraying, doing their sampling.
And our website also has the information you can call, people at home can call Bristol County Mosquito Control, they can email them, get their name on the spray list.
Yep.
And they'll come and do them, and, you know.
I added myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I also,
they'll come
after
and
being
do the adult
educated, drilled the hole in the bottom of my tire swing, so that
Yep.
way I'm not
Yeah,
breeding mosquitoes on my property.
That's no easy feat, you have to keep wetting it, that'll burn.
It did, I'm not gonna lie, but hey, it's draining now, so it's good, and the kid is happy.
I never would have thought of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one observation, because I walk every morning through our woods and down the railroad bed.
okay.
And I'm going through the woods, not too bad, every morning and every night, we do with the dog. But I get to the railroad bed, and it's unbelievable, and there is standing water on each side of the railroad beds. And I walk for 3-4 miles, and there is standing water everywhere. Now, I know we do the tablets in standing water, or Bristol County does, or somebody does. Does that water get treated, or is there a plan, or can we entertain that idea? Because if you think about the railroad tracks, it's how many backyards are on the railroad
And the
tracks?
railroad tracks usually higher and everything slopes to the side.
And that's what it is, and it's this swampy, standing, slimy water.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it the other day and I'm like, this is a breeding ground that we've been talking about.
Right.
Can we address that with Bristol County or as the town department? I don't know.
We can actually reach out to Bristol County, see if it's on their map, if it's not on their,
And you're speaking from purchase to purchase is where you walk?
Purchase to, but I'm thinking
Purchase
the
to
whole
prospect.
railroad bed is like that, probably from Bridge Street down. It's,
Oh,
you know,
it's definitely
I mean,
from
I don't
the
want
center of
special
town.
treatment
There's a lot of
walking.
standing water.
you know, but I continue walking down through the golf courses
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. And,
Yeah.
and once you get to the golf courses, not so much because it comes off, and then you get into the fairways and stuff like that. You get beyond the golf courses, and once again, you're back into that standing water, closer to the swamp. But it's bad. It's real bad. Like I said, I go through the woods, and this is at minimum twice a day, usually 3 times a day if I'm not traveling. And it's bad. It's real bad. It's definitely a breeding ground that I think we should address if possible.
that's,
And I started looking at all the backyards as they just butt right up to the railroad track. So
we can definitely reach out to them and
yeah,
possibly schedule a time just to walk it with them too, just to see what they have to say.
yep. Walk it with them. I mean,
Yeah.
they can certainly drive their fogging truck down there because it's a little Ford Ranger. I think they could actually, because I know they like
It's
to do that.
either
like
a
3 in the
Colorado
morning.
or a Ranger, they have both.
Yeah, so I know that they do that at like 3 in the morning. That the air has to be still and they have to be in flight, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I think there's something we can do.
Flat, or is it whoop-de-doos, like?
Well, down by the golf courses, it's the whip-de-doos.
Yeah.
But most of it,
I'm
from
just trying to remember from when a kid, when I used to run. a
yeah,
dirt
most
bike
of
down
it, you could probably go in Gary Lane, but then they could only go so far and they'd have to turn
there.
around.
Yeah.
But then if you would go other parts, unless there's fallen trees.
Honestly, I think more effective way is to do a larvicide into the swamp, if they could cast it in there
That's
from.
what I think. That's what I
I
think.
mean, it's probably more labor intensive, but that could give you a layer of protection for.
Yeah.
6 to 8
But
months.
it's pretty bad back down in those railroad beds. Worth mentioning. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
At least it's nice to see that they're on top of things in anticipation of,
Yeah.
this, you know?
Well, I tell you, I've already been asked probably by a half a dozen residents if the board plans on shutting down Little League and
Same.
football, and I said,
You gotta
certainly,
wait for a threat.
speaking for me, that would be our last
Right.
option. But
You have the power and authority.
it's happened in the past, you know,
last time
but it
we
would have to be,
did it, we
because
had a case.
really, it would be necessary.
Didn't we?
We didn't have an
Well, it
actual
was
case, we had
close.
positives
Yeah.
and there were cases.
Yeah, and we had a positive in the pool, so we had an emergency.
We're very, very
Shut it down.
fortunate in that we have cultivated relationships with a lot of these organizations, and they are generally run by extremely responsible individuals.
Good.
When we start getting, because I assume we are going to start getting positives of some kind, even if it's the West Nile, Mark is all set up to be able to email out information so that it trickles down to the participants in the programs.
Yeah, so it goes to camps.
Yeah.
Cause the kids are outside,
Outside all day.
sports groups, community groups, we've generated a whole list, and every year I get some kickbacks, now I send out my first email, I break down the kickbacks of someone's email has changed. So then I have to reach out to that person, get a new email and substitute it and then send it to them, but it happens every year, and it's usually 3 to 5, and it's the first notification. Usually it's lucky, because usually it's West Nile virus first, but.
Well, hopefully we don't get to that point, but if we do, I wanna say that we did everything proactive that we could. That would be. my-
Educating people and letting them know is really what, know better to, be out there,
Can't let them know, but I wanna kill the buggers. We don't want them around. The mosquitoes are persona non grata.
Kristen, do you have anything else for staff?
No, we're just, we're in a busy time right now. Yeah, we've got camps going on, we've got pools going on, we've got vacations going on, we've got some staff issues, we're going to be down, over the summer, I think, by some staffing, so,
Vacations or just
leaves,
people
yeah, yep, so, but we'll just keep plugging away, we're working on, training up and expanding the capacity that our shared inspectors, that we have through the Bristol Norfolk Public Health Partners Consortium. They've been spending more and more time over here with Mark and Tim, trying to get up to speed and to get to our standard that we're comfortable turning them out to do some of our
Gotcha.
Field
work.
work,
Yeah, our soils are very unique, we're,
Different.
we've, between the three of us, for the past 15 years, it's been one of the three of us that has done the soils, so we're not quick to just give that to somebody.
I've taken Paul out a couple of times so far. He's coming Wednesday again, meeting me at the site, and we go over the soils. I'm like, all right, write down what you think, and then make him write it down. And I'm like, I agree with that. Well, let's take another look. And one of the most important things is water table. You know what I mean? Title V says, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, that the agent for the Board of Health determines water table, not the engineer. They may say, oh, it's here. I've argued with people till I'm red in the face. No, it's not. It's there. Because everyone wants a low water table so you don't get the mound. But if the water table's the water table, having the system in the water table doesn't do anyone any benefits. It doesn't, it pollutes and it fails. So and sometimes the water table looks like a painted red line or orange line from the rust. It's really easy. Other times it's not. And that's where I'm like,
It takes a trained, seasoned person
Yeah.
to really understand
And
it.
To
sometimes
know our soils and to know what it might look like here.
yeah.
It's
But
wet-
like
wet town.
anything, the more we get him out, the higher level of confidence we'll have
Yeah.
in trusting him with it. So he's certified, it's just, we wanna make sure that we've shown him enough of what he might encounter here.
He's able to have all the info he needs.
And things like Kristen mentioned me to mention them is 78 code, there's a 25-foot overday. So you could be near the old system, you're like, wow, it's beautiful beach sand. Yeah, because it was put there. It's not the naturally occurring soil. These are things they need to know. You know what I mean? If you don't find models, then there's a groundwater season to, you have to go through, which could be December 1st to April 30th. That's not anytime soon, especially if you're selling a house. So there's a lot of little idiosyncrasies to it that I'm trying to
Hammer.
yeah.
And we do have reason to believe that this is going to work out. Paul has been doing restaurant inspections for us through the shared service grant now for almost 2 years.
Year and a half, yeah.
Year and a half. And the quality of his food inspections is enough and is very good, which is why I have some confidence that we can get him up to speed now that he has the certification and has been through the course training, to get him some more in the field time, and that hopefully he'll be an asset to us in that sphere as well.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if there's only one of me and Kristen's running 4 departments and I actually get sick one day, then we need to have him step in and be able to fill in the void. Yeah, so it's going good so far. He's very meticulous, which is what I like to say, which is good. So
On that thread, was there a follow-up to the restaurant situation that everybody read about?
Yep, so normal protocol, the complaint came in, inspection was done, an order was issued, a re-inspection was done, and everything was cleaned up.
Satisfactory?
It was satisfactory. All of our restaurants that actually serve real food, all of our food permits that actually have risky food are seen twice a year. Typically, it results in almost every one of them, well, probably
I'd say 85 to 90% get a re-inspection.
get a reinspection. I've had retail operations that are owned by corporate businesses and have multiple locations here in town that I've had to go back to for a reinspection. So it's not atypical that, you know, something is noted and needs to be corrected. As part of our normal routine inspections and as well as a follow-up for that type of complaint, we're looking at the logs that have to be maintained on property for the pest management company that's coming in. On a typical inspection, we're looking at the hood cleaning, that they have that contract there. So all these little pieces come into play as part of their routine inspection.
Okay, so I was just concerned that
Yep.
everybody knows about it,
Mhm.
and I just, you know, that not that they were out of compliance, but that we re-inspected, they are in compliance, and we're satisfied, correct?
Yep, and they will be seen again on their normal cycle.
Okay.
You got your email about Simpson Spring too, so they're back online,
Yes,
so that's
Simpson
good,
Spring
that
is
was
back
good
on.
news,
That's good
yeah.
news.
Back on.
Their own water? They put a system
They
in?
put a filtration system in
Yeah,
the system
taking
they
it from
had
Europe,
purchased.
from
Yep.
France, I think you said, right?
They had purchased it when we had gone out there. They weren't sure why they were, I don't think, anticipating why they were going to do it, but they ended up getting it installed. They ended up running water through it, and the state has lifted the cease and desist order, and they are free to
That's great.
bottle.
That's good.
They are free, they're waiting for testing. They've filled their own tank for the spigots, and they are waiting for those samples to come back. There's no expectation that it wouldn't be fine. It's the same
Yeah.
water that they're putting in the bottles that they're selling. They may not go back to doing the off-site vending machines though.
Okay.
Just,
They're hard to maintain, it might be, yeah, gotcha.
so they're evaluating whether or not
No,
that's
it's good, I'm happy for them.
Yeah, that's
profitable.
good.
So, yes, they were,
That was good to hear. I meant to email you back and say thank you for letting me know.
yes,
That is good news.
yep, so they were very,
I'd like to see that system. That must be.
it's basically a mini version of
Looks
what
like
we
a
have,
giant-
yes.
Yeah, and that looks like a giant pool filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits in this room. The one there would fit in this room, probably diagonally, but it would fit. A lot of shiny stainless.
So it's between the spring room and where they bottle, I'm assuming? Because the spring room is where the water comes in, right?
Spring
That-
room is in the
that big
corner.
Tiled room, yeah.
Yep, a fancy tiled room.
With the leaded glass.
It's a neat room though.
It is.
Yeah, it's in conjunction with all the bottling
Yeah.
operations, so.
I wish they'd bring the soda back.
I crave a birch beer. every
Yep.
once in a while.
Birch beer is my favorite.
Sarsaparilla.
My husband's family's from New Jersey and we go there every summer and the first thing I get is a birch beer. I'm
I
like,
used to be able to get it right in Easton, right there.
well, if I go this summer, I'll
Yeah,
bring you back
good
some.
I appreciate it.
Good birch, yeah. Anyone else, members?
Yeah, I just have one other thing. The Massachusetts Association of Board of Health,
Yes,
are we members?
we have been historically. I don't know if
And if so, how do we get access to their site? That would be curious.
we will get that set up. If we have not, because I still get emails.
Password protected, I know that.
Yeah,
I was looking at
password
that.
You have to set up your own little account. There's also, so part of that that's coming along with that will also be that under the new workforce standards that the state is trying to implement, that there is, in addition to, through Mass Association of Health Boards, there used to be an annual training prior to COVID that was not quite a full day, but a good half day that used to be in Taunton.
Taunton Holiday Inn,
Yeah,
or whatever
the-
it's called.
There were a couple
Not
throughout the
anymore.
state, and you could go to it and get kind of a primer on certain things. But as part of the workforce standards that are being implemented, there is going to be a requirement. I think it's more of an opportunity for a couple of online training modules that there would be an expectation that board members get within 6 months,
That would be perfect.
which is really.
Yeah, it's good.
And we'll be able to share more with you. So the old platform that it was on, it had like modules. So if we had a nuisance issue coming up, or we had public hearing, I think I would have the staff review that 1 hour, but you had to log into it.
Mhm.
So now they've changed it over to a new platform, and they're having an expectation that board members will do a couple of the modules as well. So.
That would be good.
Yeah.
But at that, I'd like to see if we have access to, or the password to the Data Association of Board of Health Massachusetts.
Yep.
For the members.
Yep, absolutely.
That's all I have, Chris, thank you.
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, with that, could I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Did you accept the minutes?
We did
We did at the beginning, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
All those in favor, Mills, yes?
Me and yes.
Bueller, yes.
Alright, and now I hit end.
If anybody has any dates in those 2 weeks, the last week of June, first week of July, that are absolutely off the table, if you could email them to me
Okay.
tomorrow, that would be great.